Welcome to the Frontline with FPM, where we talk about California politics, homeschool freedom, parental rights, and the family. I'm your host, Nathan Pierce, and thanks for joining us today. Let's jump right in and see what's going on here on the Frontline. Hi, everybody. Hi, Drew.
Hey, Nathan.
Well, we're glad to be able to join you again through the podcast for giving you today a review of how Capitol Day went and some things that are coming in the future that you can get involved with. We are really glad that our event was successful, and we're looking forward to some great feedback, and also some looking forward to next year's event as well. So we're going to just jump right in and kind of give you a quick review of how Capitol Day went. And I wanted to start just by mentioning that the day before our Capitol Day this year, which our Capitol Day started on January 18th, on the 17th in the evening, Chia, who we did host Capitol Day with, Chia of California, did a leadership event, a leadership dinner, which either every other year or so, Chia does a leadership event in this neck of the woods in conjunction with Capitol Day, so that people that are in town for Capitol Day can come to leadership and be encouraged, and or people that are coming into town for leadership can go to Capitol Day and kill two birds with one stone. So we were glad to participate with that as well, and we're glad to have Chia host that up here. And you were there, right, Drew? And you enjoyed the leadership dinner?
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Yeah, I got to meet some leaders. Got to hear Jeremiah Lorig, kind of an early sneak peek.
Yeah.
He also spoke at Capitol Day the next day, and yeah, I mean, I'm not a homeschool parent at this moment, but so a lot of it was kind of looking ahead for me. But it was really great to hear some people's experiences and their advice on all of, how to get things done as a leader in the community.
Yeah, and it's always encouraging to see a group of leaders come together from all over, with different experiences, like you said, and from really a wide range of different types of groups, but everybody coming together and encouraging one another. And so it was a really special time.
Yeah.
I know I was encouraged, and I really enjoyed Jeremiah Lorig also, and I also enjoyed getting to hear my wife speak too. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
She did a really encouraging talk for leaders too. So I was blessed by that. And then I think that a lot of people were encouraged there. And then we saw most of them again the next day at Capitol Day. Yeah. Our Capitol Day started with our day of training, which is kind of what we do in preparation for people visiting legislators at the Capitol building at Capitol Day. And so Wednesday, January 18th, was packed full. It was a long day. We were just learning all kinds of stuff. We had a lot of families there. It was close to 200 people, I think. Don't know the exact number.
Yeah, it was just under 200. So that's that was about what we were expecting, with a few people canceling, sick or family emergency. Yeah. That's normal, but it was a huge turnout. I was surprised.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was great to see all those people, and everybody was really eager, and a lot of people were excited to learn about the legislature, how things work there, and hear from some great speakers. So let's give a kind of a rundown of who was speaking and what they talked about.
Yeah. So the morning started off, it started off very early for all of us FPM and Chia people, trying to set everything up and get everything ready for all these attendees coming in. So it started off with you, Nathan, and John McGowan from Chia, kind of giving an intro of, why we're here and what FPM and Chia do, and basically how everybody in the audience was making an impact just by showing up. Um, and then and that was great. A lot of people were, there were so many new faces there. And so most people hadn't ever experienced a Capitol Day. And so kind of hearing about, a reminder of this is why we're here. This is what the general idea is. So you're not lost. It was a good start. And then near the end of that first session, we had Senator Brian Jones come in, and he was great. I was, I was helping direct him in, and with a seasoned politician like him, with a seasoned speaker like him, it was really just, this is your audience, here you go. And he was on a roll, and it was great. He was talking about his experience, as a pastor, and his experience with just dealing with all things education and freedom related in the Capitol and in his personal life. So that was a great start to the morning. I really enjoyed that. And then we had our break. We had, there's a lot of kids in the group, so we had to give everybody some time to move around
Right.
between speaking sessions. So
I know I really appreciated with Brian Jones the encouragement of I know a lot of people feel like it's time to flee the state, and I appreciated Brian Jones talking about how this is where the battle for the culture's at. And obviously there's ways to engage in the culture all over the world, but California is definitely a place where we need to be engaging in the culture. And he just really made a point to encourage people to stay in California, or even come to California, to be a part of that, and to work here in California to protect freedom.
Yeah.
So I was encouraged by that too. I thought that was great.
I was too. And it was great to see the audience react well to that. There's been so many people just, saying I'm out of here, especially in the last couple of years. And, the audience was like, hey, we're with you on this, and that was great. A great reaction to see. So after our first break, then we had Jeremiah Lorig speak, and, just like the first time I heard him speak at Homeschool Freedom Day in 2021, or that was early 2022, actually. Yeah. I can't, it's a new year. I can't get my it was, just his storytelling ability to basically, just really I won't give all of it away. But having, seeing all of these little coincidences and, providential run-ins that really inspire, famous people in history to fight for freedom, when in ways that I think they would never imagine. And they come from places that we wouldn't think of. So many of these great figures in history were just regular people, living their lives, and then they, when something came up that threatened their freedom to protect their families, to serve their families, to serve God, they made a courageous choice. So I was very inspired by that.
Very inspiring. And he went both from some far back stories in American history to some even more recent stories, talking about how investing in relationships with legislators can have a really positive outcome, even in those situations where it seems like there's no hope. And so I really appreciated that, and I think it encouraged our folks as well.
Oh yeah, I mean his whole story, surrounded, like you said, the current time portion of his story was about a single family.
And the impact that they were able to make.
On the federal level. I mean, that's huge. So that was really great. So then after that, we had Brian Eschen from Institute for Principal Studies. And I know in our last episode, we talked a little bit about what IPS does, just about, the role that the government has, and the role that they should have, right?
Right.
Yeah. Did you have any takeaways from what Brian talked about?
I think from Brian, I appreciated him pointing us to Scripture to understand the Christian's role
Yeah.
more clearly, and that needs to be the foundation for all the things that we do as we live our lives.
Yeah.
We need to constantly come back to Scripture and not be just carried away by a lot of the hype in politics, which
Yeah.
is can be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
It can be discouraging. It can be getting us wound up. But Scripture can help to ground us and help us to remember what our role is.
Mhm.
And I really appreciated that from Brian. I think that if we continue to look to Scripture for that, it'll be so much more clear what to do, and we'll have less confusion about what our next step should be in a wide range of areas, but particularly in government questions, in politics. There's so many times where it feels like we don't know which way to go,
Yeah.
and yet there's so many simple questions that we just need to have the boldness to answer correctly.
Mhm.
And I think Brian really helps to remind us of that there's some pretty straightforward things that if we start there, it'll get us further than we think if we'll just take those steps that we're clearly instructed in. So yeah, I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, when we're understanding the role of government through a biblical lens, it out of that flows, the realization we have a role in the government, I mean, through this, like looking at it in light of Scripture, it totally changes how we interact with our government, how we interact with each other, how we talk about our leaders, how we talk to our
Mhm.
leaders. I mean, yeah, it reorients everything because it's very easy, I agree, to get caught up in, I mean, there's a lot of drama in
Yeah.
politics. It's very easy
Yes.
to follow it
Yes.
along like a bad, romance drama or something like that. And so,
It
yeah,
is. It is easy to get caught up, and drama is a good word to describe it. Yeah.
yeah, very soap opera-ish. Yeah.
Uh,
So, yeah. And then after that, we had lunch. I was amazed that we were able to get enough food for everybody there. I mean, I loved it. We got Chick-fil-A. That was a good a
yeah.
good break from it all. And I ate my fill of chicken sandwiches. Um, and then after that, you and I, right after lunch, you and I did some training on uh, basically here's what you're going to run into tomorrow. Here are the
Mhm.
basics of what you need to know. Um, and so I started off by basically giving a rundown of how the state government works as compared to the federal government, what sort of power the state each legislator has, what their staff members do, and really kind of it was a very basic crash course in here's the environment you're stepping into, you know. And then
Yeah.
from there, you went in depth on how to really conduct the meeting, you know, basically giving all of these families, a reminder of why they're there. So, I mean, you gave the talk. You could probably say it better than I could. What sort of things were you focusing on with that part of the session?
Oh, things to say, not to say when you're visiting with a legislator.
Yeah,
How to know when to leave,
yeah,
when your time is up. Things like we also talked about, proper dress and etiquette when you're visiting with a legislator. And also a little bit of the importance of understanding the value of staff members in a legislator's office, because a lot of times you go to a legislator's office hoping to meet with the legislator and you end up visiting with a staff member. Sometimes it's the chief of staff you're meeting with, sometimes it's a receptionist, sometimes it's a legislative aide. And all of those people are important, and all of them, there's value to meeting with them. So that was definitely something we covered to make sure that people understood that no matter who they meet with in a legislator's office, there's value there.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people that had never experienced a legislator's office, this was the first, sort of taste that they had gotten of what it would be like to meet with the people that make the laws that govern them. And I remember my first couple of times meeting or talking to a legislator, and it's kind of like a shell shock of, oh, you have a lot of power.
Right.
And yet, that our final session was really a great reminder that legislators really are people too, regardless of how much we disagree with them, or how much we agree with them, or how distant we feel from them, and from the laws that actually govern us. So that brings us to our last session of the day with Frank Erb. And I love this session. I got to talk to Frank, and it overall, I mean, just the compassion that he has for all of these legislators and for really what they go through, becoming, going from a private figure or maybe a low level, city council member to a full-blown state politician. It changes people quite a bit. And he talked about some of the discussions and conversations he'd had with these people that really open up to him, that I think in a way they can't really open up to others.
Yeah. And I think Frank, his explanation of what it's like to be a legislator helps all of us to have a different kind of respect for them than it is generally understood in society. A respect that is really coming from a place of having love for them.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're people too, and a lot of times we don't think of them first that way.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate Frank's just real clear explanation of why we need to love them, and really to appreciate them and what they do, and to be willing to overcome maybe our fear or our concern over what somebody else thinks, in order to step out there in boldness and build that relationship that is really important.
Yeah. I agree. It was a great way to end the day. I think I was very encouraged.
Yeah. And then I think the very last thing was we talked about with the I think John McGowan and I were finishing up things, and talked a little bit about the issues with government funds in education.
Yeah.
And concerns there, and also looking to next year as well. Throughout the day, we also mentioned district visits, which is an important part of advocacy as well. That's something that doesn't happen at Capitol Day, but can happen later. So we'll get into that. But I think finishing up the day with talking about a couple of policy issues that are critical to our understanding of how our freedom works, and that happens independently of government funding. That was really critical as well, and important going into the following day visits at the Capitol.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
So the
we went
next,
to the Capitol.
yeah. So we got there before the building technically opened. They started letting people in slowly. And we met in the not in the Capitol, but in the legislator swing space, which is a temporary building for them while they are renovating the Capitol. It's called the Capitol Annex Project, and it's going to take quite a while. So this is their office
Their
building for the
office
time being.
building. Their office
Yeah,
building, yeah.
yeah. So and we all met in kind of a common area on one of the floors, and then started sending people out. Um, and it was hectic and busy, and it was a full floor. But I think after about 10 minutes of sorting people out and getting people ready to go, reminding them of, hey, here's how to talk about, homeschool issues, here to, you can introduce yourselves, talk to them. I think after 10 or 15 minutes of what looked like to me like total chaos, I think we hit a groove. And, yeah, our event organizer, Johanna, she did a great job keeping everything going smoothly. There was a lot of just making sure, oh, we have a person that's from their district. Why don't we try and get them? Oh, they're out on, they're out talking to another legislator. We'll wait for them, try and sort things out. And there were, you know, just everybody did great, but there's a couple families in particular that I was just amazed by. Just seeing, how comfortable they were saying like, "Oh yeah, give us a couple extra. We'll go and we'll talk to these people." And they were so patient and kind with everybody that they visited with, and patient and kind with all of us, trying to organize everybody. And I think even people that had never visited offices before were like, "All right, where do we go?
Yeah,
Let's do
yeah.
this."
And I got questions all day about, I was curious about how this works and that
Yeah.
works, and people were eager to learn.
Yeah.
Even while we're right there in the office building, we had our incredible staff was managing both sending groups out, giving them instructions, telling them where to go, and also at the same time other staff, people coming back and giving feedback on how their office visits went before they went out to the next ones.
Yeah.
So that went really incredibly smoothly.
Yeah.
This, as we mentioned before, we had a lot of people. This was our largest Capitol Day. It was actually about double the size of our previous largest Capitol
Mhm.
Day. So I was really, really pleased with how smoothly everything went at the end
Yeah.
of the day. All 120 offices got a packet on homeschooling,
Mhm.
and we had a pretty good percentage of people that actually visited with a legislator,
Mhm.
or with a staff member instead of doing just a packet drop off, which
Yeah.
we always have some just drop off
Yeah.
situations. But um, this year I thought our percentages were really good. So I'm really, really happy about that. And
Yeah.
so a huge thank you to our staff, to the CHIA folks that came and helped uh, make it run smoothly also.
Mhm.
But I think most of all, we need to say thank you to God for overseeing this whole thing and giving us clear understanding. And then we really need to thank the families that came, because we couldn't do it without them. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't, this isn't an event where our organizations can just do this by ourselves. We need the families to participate with us.
Yeah.
And without that, it's not Capitol Day. We don't have, if we don't have families to present information about homeschooling and to represent the homeschool community, then we don't have the ability to represent the homeschool community with homeschool families, and
Yeah.
that's a
We don't
really
have that
important part.
voice in the
Yeah,
Capitol. Yeah.
yeah. So it's really critical. So thank you to everybody that came and
Yeah.
participated in that. It was huge that you did that, and you made a tremendous impact.
Mhm.
And so thank you so much for being a part of that.
Yeah. And with that said, I mean, I know we had a number of people sign up after it was full, and we had to waitlist a number of people,
Oh yeah.
which is, I mean, that's great to see on our end, just seeing there's an interest, but also it's hard to turn people down.
Yeah, yeah. And we're
But
hoping to have more space next year to be able
yeah,
to accommodate a larger number of people.
yeah.
So looking forward to
So
that. And we do have
exactly.
dates.
Yes, 17th, 18th, and then 19th of
Yeah,
January 2024, right?
right. So our lead in will be the evening of the 17th of January next year. 18th will be our day at the Capitol. 19th will be our debrief and final speakers. So we're really excited about that, and we already have people applying to participate with us.
Yeah.
As you know, this is an event where we vet everybody that comes through so that we can make sure that everybody's on the same page before we give out the tickets. So it's a ticketed only event. It's something where you have to apply and be accepted before you can get a ticket. So thank you for everybody that's interested, and we do have that application for next year open
It'll
right
be
now
in the
on our
description.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely check that out and get signed up for next year before it fills up, because we already
Yeah.
have a bunch of families working on that now. So
Yeah. Uh,
yeah, that's exciting.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to next year. This year was in my time working at FPM, it's been all through the COVID lockdowns, and so this was my first time having a Capitol Day at the Capitol, and
In person, yeah,
it was great. Yeah,
yeah.
it was really great. Yeah. So I think we're going to temporarily sign off, and then we'll have a little bit of a bonus part of the episode where we'll kind of go in depth about district office visits.
Right. So
What to
if
expect.
you're interested in participating, moving on from here,
Mhm.
if you didn't get to come to Capitol Day, but you want to participate somehow in advocacy for homeschooling, we will be posting a special video that will highlight specifically how you can get engaged even in your district area
Yep.
by doing district office visits and other things. So
Yeah.
certainly check that out. And
Mm.
again, thanks everybody.
Yeah. The audio will also be on our podcast feed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, wherever you're listening. So yeah, and that'll be up right around this time, right around the time this one goes up too. So you can listen to both of those and figure out how, whether you went to Capitol Day or not, how you can take those next steps. So,
Right. All
yeah,
right. Well, thanks so much, Drew.
yeah,
It was a great event, and thanks to everybody that participated. And check it out if you want to sign up for next year. We'll be definitely getting that event off the ground real soon, because we are already in talks with speakers for next year. So thanks so much, and see you again soon. Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Frontline with FPM. For more information about the topics we discuss here, check out Family Protection Ministries at fpmca.org and subscribe to our